Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Lattice Project-Based Review webinar. My name is Hannah, and I'm a Customer Success Manager, and we're joined by Ryan, who's also a Project Manager on the engineering team. We've both been working closely on developing this new product, and we're so excited to show you how it is you can get started today with your project-based reviews. I'm going to hand it off to Ryan, who's going to share with you why we're so excited about the launch.
Got it. Thank you, Hannah. So for project-based reviews, we're super excited about. It's something we partnered with a couple of our current customers on how to best support non-org chart-based reviews. This is something that outside of the market has not been solved before, and Lattice is kind of be able to bring first to be. It's very different than a traditional org chart performance review, where it's done kind of on an annual or biannual performance review or on an anniversary basis, whereas a project-based review can be launched after a project end, not based around the org chart, and really based around project teams with an optional project lead. And like all peers review each other automatically in an insular set of groups. Hannah, will you take from there?
Now we're going to go through the agenda today. First, we're going to begin by explaining why project reviews matter and what the need is in the market. Then we're going to give you a brief demo on how to set it up. Ryan will give you a live demo of how to set up the review in both instances, and then we'll have Q&A at the end. If you have any questions throughout, feel free to chat them in the box and we'll reference them at the end of the training. Now, why do we even have project-based reviews? At Lattice, we started with the traditional review format. That's where you're being reviewed by people within your reporting relationship and potentially by peers. Now, we understand that there are some companies for whom a large part of your day-to-day is spent running project-based teams and collaborating in projects across different departments where you may not be working with people that you necessarily report to. Now, understanding what a project review is knowing that it's meant to be a review that supports the project process, allowing people to get feedback from people that are not necessarily their functional manager or direct report. So that way the people they spend considerable amount of time with in that project can review them. It's another way in which we can help support career development and personal development at one's company, particularly if you're spending a lot of time in project groups. Now, let's walk through where you fit. There's the traditional review, which Lattice has always supported. This is where it's usually launched either annually or biannually based off of the org chart. And then there's the project-based review. This usually gets launched after a project ends. It's based off of the project teams. We do have the option of allowing you to name someone the project lead, taking on a manager role, or you can have a project team where everyone's on the same lateral level. In a project-based review, all of the peers are reviewing each other automatically. If there's a project lead, they can take on an upward or downward review. And the great thing about project-based reviews is it's an insular group of reviewers. The only people being reviewed and reviewing are the people in that project. Now, it's a lot to take in, so let's break it down. A project review without a project lead is a lateral project team. That's where the HR admin takes on the role of administering the review, and the team members all act as direct reports. They're all on the same level, reviewing each other as peers. Now, there are project reviews with project leads. That's where the project lead acts as a manager and the team members act as their direct report. This is useful in project teams where there may be someone for whom is the delegator or takes on a manager role in this function. In this case, you have the ability to not only run peer reviews or self-reviews, but also the team members can do an upward review of the project lead, and the project lead can do a downward review of the team members. So this is more like a traditional 360. Now, how do you know if project-based reviews are right for you? There are some companies for where this is very common. Agencies where you're working with a lot of partners across different teams and with different projects and clients. Consulting firms where you're working a lot with internal stakeholders on certain projects. Or really any organization where you find your employees are spending a considerable amount of time on projects outside of their functional manager. Now, if you're curious of whether or not this works for you, here are some keywords that might give you the trigger to know if it could work. If you have project-style teams at your company, if you have a considerably flat organization, If your team members enjoy getting feedback from non-managers, are looking for peer-only reviews, or looking for an insular review where people are only reviewing that subset of people, this might be the right solution for you. Now, let's walk through how to set up your project-based review. We're going to show you this in a slide format, and then we're going to walk into the live demo where you're actually participating in the review. Now, the first step to setting up a project review is to actually turn it on. If you're an admin, you have the ability to go to the admin tab, go to the review section, and under settings, you'll see that there's a new section to toggle on project-based reviews. If you don't have it on, you won't see the option to use it when you create a new review cycle. So let's turn that on. The next step is to actually create a new review. You can't take any old reviews and make them project reviews, but you can always create a new one today. The first thing you'll see when you go to create a review will be two options. The default, which is to create a traditional org chart review, or the new setting to create a project-based review. Once you've done that, you'll be asked to decide whether or not you would like a project lead in the group. If you decide on the lead, know that they act as a manager and they will have the option of doing a downward review, and the team members under them will have the option of doing an upward review of them. If you'd rather have it be a lateral review, then simply say no, that this project review is based off of peer and self-feedback only, so that way everybody's on a lateral level reviewing each other in the project. Now, once you've gone in and set up the review, the rest of the settings are exactly the same as your normal review process. You'll decide what the visibility settings are, whether or not they're scoring, which of the review directions you would like to select, so it's all identical. We've just named everything that's new to the review process. Now, let's skip ahead and ask ourselves, who is responsible for delivering the project feedback? We understand that given you may have the option of adding a project lead, it could add some confusion. Do know that as soon as you, the admin, decide to end the project review, that both the project lead and the manager will have access to email notifications and tasks. If there's no project lead, then the manager will be the one with access. Now, as soon as the review is over, the manager will always maintain access to their direct reports final review packet, even if they weren't in that project review. Now, if the project lead needs to have access to that final review packet, they will need to have a custom relationship, which we're actually building in late December to have them as a dotted line manager if you'd like them to maintain access to that review packet. Now, I'm going to hand it off to Ryan. He's going to go ahead and give you a live demo of how to run a project review from the perspective of a team member. Take it away, Ryan.
Thank you, Hannah. All right, this screen should look familiar to everyone. Hannah just showed this earlier, but we're going to create a review cycle. Here we have the traditional org chart that everyone is used to. And over here, we now have the project-based review. We will call this engineering retro. Go ahead and move forward with it. And now we have the option between two different places. The ability to select the project lead. This is the person who would be giving upward or downward feedback. And then the project team members. So this first case, we'll go ahead and pretend that no one is giving that upward downward feedback, and it is only at a singular level where peers are reviewing each other. In this section, we can see that upward and downward feedback has now been disabled because there is no project lead. We can turn on peers. We will select, employee goal feedback for reviews and save and continue. Peers are now all reviewing each other automatically. Scoring has been disabled. If you want to have scoring enabled, you can turn on the project lead. And deliverability settings are still the same. You can now share feedback with all names attached, but the project members' comments are anonymized and only sharing with the reviewee's manager. And the sequence, you can still custom, and timeline applies to both. We'll do custom here. And verifying, you can now see all the different pieces. The manager still is playing a slight role in this because there is no project lead. They do have the ability to share it, or the admin at the end of the review cycle can also share all feedback. I'll now jump into another situation. This is where we are going to have a project lead giving downward and upward feedback. We're going to make it a full 360 just to make it simple. Peers are still nominating or automatically happening. It's because of project-based. Ordering, we still have control over those two options. Scores can be enabled in the situation, but we'll keep it off. Deliverables, again, the same three options. The project lead review. The project lead is having a piece. Timeline, upward self and project lead reviews. And save and continue. And let's go ahead and create this review cycle. We're going to skip this email and kind of did that. And so what you'll see in the U tab, I double click too many things. Let's just go back to this old one. Because I'm not in this review, no one's in it, but I'm gonna go ahead and add a late review for myself. And now I have my stuff where I'm doing the insular peer review and selecting it of my peers, giving them, implement Lattice, so what it was, and, did a great job. Submitting it. And then on the administration side, we can go ahead and end this review cycle. And create task and emails. So doing this, we'll send it to the project lead, which does not exist in this one, but we'll send to all of the managers. And then sharing the reviews is where the admin has control of it. That is it for the product piece of it. It's a very simple process, being able to rinse and repeat. We understand a lot of these project reviews are being done simultaneously. You can still go in, duplicate the review cycle, and relaunch it with all of the settings that are still there. Let's go ahead and open this up for Q&A. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen for now. Any questions on the project-based review?
If anybody would like to chat their questions, feel free. As well, you can also unmute yourself and we'll be happy to answer them live here. One last note, if any of you have any follow-up questions around how to get started or how to administer the project review, either reach out to your customer success manager or to our support line, that's support@lattice.com, and they'll be happy to help you out. Thank you so much, everyone. We'll stay on the line if anybody wants to stay to ask any questions. Otherwise, the webinar is over.